Good Thursday morning. We've got real baseball back tonight. Today, actually, with the Yankees and Astros with that doubleheader. And these games are important to Yankee fans because it's the only thing that gets them fired up is these games against the Astros. Boomer is out the next couple of days. That means that Jerry is in for him. Boomer was, I'm assuming, tipsy tweeting yesterday when he put out a picture of dollar bills that he had won from Wally Zerbiak on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw that. He sent out a picture of $150 on Twitter and said, "This is Wally money." So you know he had at least a couple day chasers out there on the course. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Gee, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited for Yankees Astros today, I got to say, because we've been without baseball for a number of days. Home Run Derby All-Star Game doesn't really count in my book. And this is really the only thing that Yankee fans get upset about. They get upset about Gallo a little bit, but they really get upset about losing to the Astros. And I know I had this argument with the crazy Dan and Carteret about how I thought that the Mets and Braves series was more important than the Yankees and Astros series because, you know, the Mets last year had fallen apart and slid down. The Astros overtook them, so that's why these regular season games against the Braves felt more important than the Yankees and Astros regular season games because usually they settle their beefs in the postseason. But the way that the games have gone against the Astros this year, and they've matched each other, and the Astros have gotten the better of the Yankees a lot of times, you know, it's important to see the Yankees beat them. It really is, because that's the only thing that you're worried about as a Yankee fan. You're not worried about winning the division. You're not worried about making the playoffs. You're not worried about being there. You're worried about advancing and beating one particular team that's been a pain in your ass, and that's the Houston Astros.
Yeah, and you get two of them today. And by the way, unfair, at least in my opinion, that, you know, you have this all-star break. You've got certain teams like the Mets who don't play till tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Not only do they come back and play on Thursday evening, which that's okay, but to play at 1 o'clock in Houston, which is really what, 12 o'clock in Houston?
That's right, yep.
So their all-star break was not a whole lot. They played on Sunday. They got Monday, Tuesday, travel Wednesday. It's not much of a break for them. That said, it is what it is. They're playing the day-night doubleheader. And you're right, for a team that they have struggled with, you'd like to see them win some games. That said, yes, Al, go split. Go split today, get one, and then move on to the Orioles, who come out of the break, by the way, a 500 baseball team, not a pushover anymore. They have been with the Yankees. We'll see how that goes over the weekend. But, yeah, go get one today and kind of start this unofficial second half the right way. I mean, hell, you get two, that's even better. But, yeah, you know, it's funny with the Astros in that you want to see them beat them for sure. There's no question about it. But to me, you could, I don't know how many times they play them in the regular season, but if it's 5, 6, 7, 9, 12, 15 times, doesn't matter. You could beat them every time in the regular season. It's important for the psyche, I suppose, for sure. It matters in October.
Yeah.
Until they do it in October in the playoffs, all this other stuff, doesn't matter to me. To me, it's about when they see them, and I do believe they will see them in the ALCS most likely. That's when it matters, and that's when they have to do it.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything that the Yankees can do in the regular season that makes you feel super confident about them getting to the World Series. But beating the Astros and also, of course, you know, taking care of business against the better teams in baseball helps.
Sure.
It definitely helps. But, yeah, I mean, this is what this is all about. This is why sometimes, you know, Yankee fans don't enjoy the journey. I mean, how many times we talked about, all right, you got this great regular season. You're in the midst of a historic regular season, but can you really enjoy it? Because all we're talking about is if it doesn't end in a championship, at least an American League championship, then what the hell? You're never going to remember the season. Because Yankee fans, you know, they have – look, you got this Derek Jeter documentary that's going on now. I mean, those are the things you remember, those championship years. The reason why Derek Jeter is Derek Jeter isn't necessarily – all because of his individual performance, because he was the captain of a dynasty. So, I mean, this season could just go right down the tubes. Nobody will remember. It's just going to be the end result. That's the thing we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about the Yankees having this great first half or, you know, a great April, May, June, July. None of it matters. So that's why at least you get a peek into what the postseason is going to be in these couple of games against Houston.
They are a victim of their own success, and that's a credit to them, and it also sucks to be them in that way in terms of what the regular season is. And to your point, when you look at this team, In 2019, they won 103 games. You remember it?
No, of course
You
not.
remember that they won 100 games the year prior? No. You remember 92 wins? You're not going to remember those things because it didn't end up with a championship, and you do remember the postseason failures. Again, it's a credit to how good and how stable and consistent they've been, but when you're about winning championships, 2009 to now is now a long time for the Yankees. It's 13 years. When I think about growing up, all you heard about was Ruth and Mantle and Gehrig and DiMaggio and Reggie Jackson, for me, those times he was with the Yankees in the 70s and all the championships. And then they had that period in the 80s where they didn't win. And we're kind of approaching that amount of time now, right? It's 13 years.
Yeah.
So if you look at how long it took them to get back on top in 1996, well, 09 to 22, if they don't win this year, and I'd be surprised if they're not at least in the – I know the Astros stand in their way. But I really do believe, and I have since that mediocre, and it wasn't even bad, it was mediocre those first 13 games. They have been far and away the best team in baseball the entire season. And it'd be a real shame if they weren't the rest of the way. But I expect it to continue. I expect it to continue today, but more so into the weekend. And away we go. And I'm reading, that 116 wins by the Mariners. You got, reporters going to Seattle, those guys. What do you think? And yeah, they might actually eclipse it. That's how good they've been.
Yeah, that's how good they have been to this point. But, to keep up that pace is a lot. It really is.
Deep team, though.
It is, and it's probably going to get deeper at the trade deadline because you know that they're going to bring in reinforcements. Juan Soto's not going to come to the Yankees. It's not going to be that. It's going to be other things. And I think that they're going to upgrade the rotation. I think they're going to upgrade the bullpen. But, Yankee fans that are dreaming of Juan Soto, it's not going to happen.
You don't think
There's
so?
There's no way in hell with the Aaron Judge situation being what it is. Even if the only way, think about it, too. The only way that those two guys could exist on the same team is for the rest of this year, and then Aaron Judge would have to leave. That would be the only way they could exist on the same team.
I suppose, yeah.
Look at all the money
I know.
on everybody else.
I'm well aware what the money is. I think where I agree with you is the one quote that I was reading. I think it was Ian O'Connor's article this morning where he quoted a Hal Steinbrenner comment about wanting to win. It's always about championships, but he also mentions how we've got investors and shareholders. That's money, and that's about the bottom line. That would concern me if I was a Yankee fan that wants Juan Soto and thinking that they're not going to get him. The other thing you have to guard against, though, which is why I don't just dismiss the Soto thing, is Judge. I'm not sold he's coming back. Hell, we spent yesterday playing those clips from the All-Star game where it sounds as if he is clearly thinking about being somewhere else. Doesn't mean he will be, but he's thinking about it, and he's going to be a free agent, and I'm sure his agent's in his head saying, listen, you play this down the middle, and you don't give him an inch. You make him think, and you make him sweat. But if I was the Yankees, I would have heard that and saw that and thought, really, wow, maybe he is going to go to San Francisco or somewhere L.A. or the other side of town. Who knows? And he is going to forget the comments about it's not about money. I want to be a Yankee. Maybe he is looking for $40, $50 million a year, and maybe someone will give it to him. So I kind of have to guard against that, too. When you think about Soto, you've got him for a couple of years no matter what. I don't know. I don't dismiss it that quickly.
Yeah, I just think that they're focused on bringing Judge back. They know they're not going to be able to pay Soto. Look at all these other guys that they have passed on in recent memory. The Yankees would, in years past, when Bryce Harper was available, they would definitely have looked at him. When Manny Machado was available, they would have looked at him. They really never were in on any of those guys. Carlos Correa, they weren't in on. Freddie Freeman, they weren't in on. They weren't in on anybody because they knew they had to pay Judge. So that's what I think they're still focused on is that. Now, you want to tell me that if they're thinking that he's going to leave and you trade for Soto, how awkward is that?
So what's changed, though, now? That. They offered him a big contract. He, I guess, was insulted or whatever. He didn't accept it. That's fine. The comments you hear from him, to me, a lot has changed in the last month or so. Or really this year, I should say. A lot's changed. If we, going into the season, prior to Cashman announcing what they offered and he declined, I would have bet everything that Aaron Judge will be a Yankee until the day he retires, much like Derek Jeter. And I know Jeter had the little flirtation and, hey, we want to go find a deal, and then come back to us. I know there were some of those moments towards the latter stages of his career. But for the most part, I always thought, once I saw Judge, the way he carries himself, the way he sells merchandise, the way he really has become the face of at least the franchise, if not the league, I never even gave it a thought that he wouldn't be an all-time Yankee and a career Yankee. I'm not so sure as I sit here today anymore.
Yeah, did you feel that way about him, though, prior to this season?
No.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Going into the year prior to what Cashman offered him and he declined, it never even dawned on me that he would ever even think about being somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't think that way anymore.
Right, but it's also, a lot has changed because of this MVP season, too. That number is going up and up and up, and I don't know if the Yankees are willing to have it go up and up and up. And also, the Aaron Judge that we thought the Yankees were getting at the beginning of the season, who is someone who wasn't doing this. He had one season like this back in 2017, but that was really basically it, and he was good, and he was hurt, and everything else. They thought that guy was only worth the $213 million and that AAV being down where it was. You think that team that looked at Aaron Judge that way is now going to shell out $40 million a year for Juan Soto? Things have changed.
Well,
with
you're
them.
gaining 7 years of age, though.
Yeah, but
there's a lot that changes there.
But the money is the thing that they're concerned about
Oh,
with the luxury tax.
Is it, though?
They definitely care about that. They definitely do.
But we've discussed this so many times. Yes, the money's an issue. There's no question about it. But at the same time, why there was one reason and one reason only why I said Aaron Judge was silly to decline the contract, and that was his injury history.
Yeah.
And by the way, the year ain't over yet. If he tears a quad or has a lat problem or a hamstring or something, it would prove why the Yankees, while offering I thought, a very fair deal, why they were hesitant to go beyond that at the time, and why I think it's still a question mark. It's not like he's played 150 games every single year of his career, and he's 30, and if he got hurt, he can bet on himself, but he would have lost in that situation, and it's still only July. He still could lose. I know right now it looks like, man, he bet on himself and he won. He hasn't won yet. He's got to get through this season healthy, and he's got to perform the rest of the year like he has. If he does, he might make $50 million a year from someone. I don't know. But the thing with Soto is he's 23, he's not 30, and as far as I know, I don't watch him every day, but as far as I know, he's been a healthy 23. You're gaining a lot. So, yeah, I could see them shelling out the money for him. I could.
And you can't tell me, everybody says it's not going to be a distraction. We don't want it to be a distraction. This is why we don't negotiate during the year. The longer this season goes on and he's playing like this, it's going to continue to be a distraction.
Has to be.
Because people are going to be talking about it. You had this quote yesterday to Marley Rivera we were playing all day long that got everybody talking. There's going to be more of that stuff. I'm sure he comes back here and he gets asked about that again. There's no doubt that the media is going to bring that up and be like, that what you said to Marley Rivera about there's other Yankees, what did you mean by that? There's other Yankees to root for. I hope he's a Judge fan. And even think about, remember when Garrett Cole, his last year on the Astros, and they ended up losing the World Series, and he didn't get into Game 7, and he came out to talk to the press with his Scott Boras logoed hat on as opposed to the Astros hat. You're telling me these guys aren't thinking about these things even in the biggest moments? That was right after they lost the World Series, and he's not thinking about his team that he was on, that he was dominant for throughout the playoffs. He's thinking about his agent and where he's going to go.
His Team Cole.
Right, yes. So there's no doubt about it that this is going to continue to fester. And the Yankees are going to be in the biggest games you would imagine, and we're still going to be talking about this.
I think it will fester more as the national media starts to descend on the Yankees when we get into the postseason. Yes, the local guys are going to ask him, but I think that will be over and done with one or two questions. He's comfortable with them, and he'll probably give you a very Jeter-like answer, a very Judge-like answer. Just focus on the season, guys, and just ignore it. I really do believe he was caught off guard by that question the other night. I do. And even she said it, didn't mean to surprise you.
Yeah.
I don't think he expected that question, and he wasn't prepared for it. When he walks into the locker room, whoever's traveling with the Yankees these days, I'm not even sure, but when he faces the media, either before the game or after the game or in between games today, whatever it is, I think he will be 100% ready for the stock answer that he's going to give.
Yeah, you're probably right, because the day before he gave you a stock answer.
Yeah.
We sort of made fun of it because he said that it was out of his hands and it's not up to him and he doesn't care about the money and all of that stuff. So we did make fun of it, but it was your stock answer from Aaron Judge The next day was not. I mean, the next day was you could really
Humming was what the next day was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could really read into it. You could read in between the lines.
Well, and look at his face too. That's what I said. If you watch the video, you looked at his face like, oh.
Yeah, I know. If I were a Yankee fan, that would have scared the hell out of me. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know if he was given instruction, as you brought up yesterday. You're like, hey, I mean, you said you wanted to be a Yankee, you didn't care about the money. I mean, do you want leverage in this situation or not?
Because he's got all of it right now. And then when you start saying things like that, I don't know how much it actually impacts what they would offer or what they wouldn't. But I'll tell you this, what he did yesterday, Tuesday night, damn well sure impacts what they're thinking. Because all of a sudden, if you're Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, Randy, whoever in the Yankee hierarchy, and you see that clip, you got to be thinking, holy crap, this guy might actually leave.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that's what they're thinking when they saw that. They did not take that lightly. I mean, it's sort of like, me and you running into Spike in the morning when he's here and going, I love what we do so much, I would do it for free. That's how much I love it. Like, that's basically like what he said the day before, which was he didn't care about the money. He just wants to be a Yankee. So maybe he was going to the extreme level to start to scare them a little bit after all those other quotes.
That was why
there.
I thought, and I don't know, I didn't realize. That's why I thought he was a Boris client, because I thought for sure after that clip that a guy like Boris would have got him on the phone and said, hey, dummy, this is what you're going to do next time they ask you. We're going to really put some fear into them. I'm not sure who his agent is.
Yeah, I'm looking that up now. Is he a CAA guy, maybe?
Rock Nation, maybe?
It could be that, too.
Why do I don't know. I'm not sure. But I definitely thought someone got in his ear because if you're a Yankee fan, you did not like what he said and how he looked during that little ESPN clip.
Paige Ottle? You ever heard of that person?
I have not.
Yeah, Paige Ottle is his agent.
All right.
So there you go.
Maybe Paige got in his ear.
I don't know who PSI Sports Management is who he is represented by, and Paige Ottle is his agent.
Paige Ottle's going to get a lot of money coming soon.
Yeah, I know. Paige is counting it right now. I mean, you can't blame Paige for that either with the season that he is having. All right, Boomer and Gio with Jerry and for Boomer on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Peter Schwartz is here. He's going to try to put together an update.
I got to be honest, I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, neither am I.
Did you hear when Al asked him?
Yes, I heard during the warm-up show, what did he have, and he named every single story we talked about yesterday.
Well, a little more than that.
He also said that there was an Aaron Judge clip he was going to play, which I think is the one that, and then he also said something about the ESPYs he was going to throw in there.
Yeah, but you're still not getting to what concerns me. Al asked him point blank, how do you think the updates are going to go today? And he said, quote, I think they're going to suck, to be honest.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's really setting a low bar.
He did say that.
A little concerned.
And he said something else that really concerned me, too, during the warm-up show that I still cannot believe.
I wonder what that is. All right.
And I will ask him that coming up next when we see him.